Wakey, wakey, everyone. It's another fabulous day in Wellington Wells. The weather is only slightly rainy with streaks of lovely sunshine.
I've just been given a brief glimpse of a game that is very early in development. It's called We Happy Few here at PAX East. Can you first tell us a little bit, what is the concept of this game?
Well, it's a game where it's set in the 1960s dystopian society where everyone is happy on this drug called joy, and you're the only lucid individual in the city. So you wake up and you have to basically survive for a while. Your objective is to escape the city, but the city's on an island. So as a general structure for the game, you have to survive for a certain amount of time until there's a window of opportunity for you to go out. Obviously, everyone's high on drugs, so they're not quite zombies. They don't attack you on sight, but they do expect you to behave in a certain specific way. So a lot of the gameplay comes around knowing what the rules of conformity in the actual city are. So that's the general. It's a little bit of an urban survival, don't starve meets Bioshock type of game.
Yeah, and sort of with the original Dead Rising, where you also had that sort of time limit where you had to survive for a certain amount of time, and you could go and hide in a cupboard if you want to, but that's perhaps not. I don't know if you have that sort of built in as well, or is there a progression that you need to do throughout these days?
Well, you can try to go hide in a cupboard. You'll probably starve doing it. A lot of the game mechanics in We Happy Few happens to work around hiding in plain sight. So it's the idea that there's a bunch of people around you who are happy and on drugs, and if they figure out that you're not, then it really, really quickly spreads around you, and you get into trouble really quickly. So basically, a lot of it has to do with learning to see what the AIs are doing and kind of mimicking what they're doing in order to be able to, like I said, hide in plain sight.
So there's a crafting system, there's the drugs that you can take to sort of hide in plain sight. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the mechanics that are in there and what the mechanics that are in there?
Right, we do have crafting, so there's a general crafting mechanic where you go out and you scavenge things in homes, and that allows you to craft new things in order to progress your character. It also gives you tools to break into homes or disguise yourselves as different characters in the game. From the general mechanics, we have a pretty large mechanic that has to do with the joy and your drug level. So, the joy drug that chemically makes everyone happy in the game is laced into the water, for example. So as you're trying to drink water, for example, you're going to be upping your drug levels, and you have to make sure that you're not overdosing on one side, and that you're not crashing from the drugs. Because drugs basically give you that short time span where you're part of the throng, right? So suddenly your suspicion's lower, and you're seeing everything in like high colored lights and blue skies, and everything is happy, and you're hearing birds chipping your sound in your head. So it gives you kind of that short advantage where you can do things without being suspicious about it. But after a while, the drugs crash, and that drains your other needs. So there's a little bit of a loop that has to do with managing your drugs, your thirst, your hunger, and just making sure that you don't get clobbered on the street.
It's very interesting though, because it's one of those things where you're not saying don't use the drugs, because it is very beneficial and you should be doing it. But at the same time, there's drawbacks as well. So it's not that sort of clear cut.
Well, the problem is if you're constantly on drugs, you'll be unable to sustain yourself. That's really where it comes down to. So it's really about having a very strategic use of it, of saying, okay, I got to do this very dangerous thing right now. I'm going to go high on the drug and like be part of the throng because I need that actual time window. But in general, you're going to want to try to stay off the drugs in order to actually keep your longer term sustainable needs in check. We really like playing on that aspect and the kind of the paranoia and conformity aspect that you live through the game. So you know that if you're walking down the street and you're doing anything that's out of the ordinary, you might get yourself into trouble really, really quickly.
So what inspired this world and the universe that you're creating here? What sort of things were you pulling from?
Well, there's a number of different inspirations for different pieces. When we finished Contrast was set in the 20s, so when we finished Contrast, I asked my art director, I said, hey, what do you want to draw, right? And she says, I want to do 1960s crazy mod and like Beatle haircuts, and I want to do that in England because it's cool. So Whitney kind of originally chose the actual setting for the game, and I was really a big fan of dystopian universes, and I wanted to create a universe that really permeated like a sense of oppression, but not in the kind of dark. I wanted like the crazy, happy, creepy feel that you get out in the trailer. And I also wanted to do. We always like to experiment at the studio and to try things that we haven't really been done before. And for us to just go out on the film set and just film someone and integrate that character into a game and make it like a personality of the world that we were creating was something that I was really enthused about. I have developed a high dose of respect for the job of being an actor after having gone through that process.
Very interesting. And another thing that is special about this game is that it's procedural. Can you tell us a little bit how that works and what that'll add to the experience?
Right. Well, you tend to die a lot in the game, and when you die, there is permadeath. So when you die, you have to restart the game from the start. So there's a little bit of a roguelike element because every time you restart, the city gets regenerated, and that's really something that we're looking forward to, like really be pushing in the next couple of months. But right now, we're laying down the street structure procedurally, and then we're filling it with buildings and tile sets that we have right now. So basically, every time that you play, things are in different places. Things might occur as well in different orders in the game, and you have to kind of adapt to the situation. So what you're learning from play session to play session is the strategies and how to actually play the game.
We got to taste a couple of sort of smaller missions, more of mysteries that you can solve along the way. Are those kind of missions? Is that sort of how the is that going to tie together a narrative throughout the campaign, or how's the structure, if you will?
Well, narrative is something that was very important in our last game, and it's going to be very important in this game. We're not really talking about it just yet, because really the objective at this stage was really to come out to the community, show the game, show the sandbox mechanics, and make sure that it was working to kind of help inform the next couple of months of production. But yeah, we are working on the story. So, yeah.
All right. You touched upon it a little bit, that this is really a chance for you guys to get out early and show people what you're working on and get feedback and that sort of thing. Can you tell us a little bit about the roadmap ahead for the project and what you plan to do?
Yeah. So we're planning on we're probably going to start a Kickstarter campaign in 8 to 10 weeks. I'll have to figure out the exact timing next week. But the goal being for us to actually get, because we're pretty stable financially, but the goal is really for us to get that initial hardcore community of people who want to help us develop the game with them. It's one thing, this game is very good for iterative development. We've been layering additional pieces of functionality over the game over the last couple of months. And we're at a stage now where we want to do that, but we don't want to do that in a vacuum. So we want to get, reach out to those people who are really interested in the game and want to be part of the story with it. So that's probably that's the next stage that we're going to be working at. And then we'll see where the Kickstarter brings us. We'll see where we are in 3 to 6 months on the project. We might go on early access, or we might keep it closed and go straight to release.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.